that range gives me a biodiversity right there. And it helps me build a sequence. I always build a sequence of flowering plants. I try to have, actually, I've got flowering going on now with willows. Willows are actually starting to bloom. And it will end usually about the end of October with some of the asters. And I want to have something flowering every week of that season. If you reach that, I guarantee you, you will never be at a lack of, especially your beneficial insects, mostly your wasps and your beneficial pollinating bees, but you'll have lots of beetles and so on also. So you will have, because think of it, most insects need nectar. That's their fuel to run. And whatever job they're doing, if they can easily just, oh, there's a flower right here. Oh, there's a flower right there. Every week it's changing where, but it's always within their reach. You're going to have so many insects. I mean, we used to have hives. I don't want to have beehives anymore. I loved having bees. I loved having honey, but we don't need them. They were a problem because they were creating too much of a pollination, too much fruit set. And so since we've gotten rid of them, we still have some over-pollination, but this is with zero honeybees. We do not need honeybees. Honeybees are non-native. It's actually a problem. And it should be viewed as an indicator. If you're relying, like Nova Scotia, for example, relies on honeybees to pollinate the blueberry crops, we should wake up and say, wait a minute, why do we need bees? Well, we need it because we're making what? Blueberry fields into big monoculture plots. We burned them so that we get rid of everything else. And so we have very few native bees working those areas.
Yes, yes.
You know, if you made your blueberry field 50 feet wide and just had a ditch with a range of different crops.
Just a wild, crazy,
just let it go wild every 50 feet. You would not need honeybees. There would be so many plants in that ditch. And what are you losing? You know how much honeybees cost to rent this? Like now, the last I found out, they were close to between $150 and $200 a hive, depending where you are. That's crazy. That's just bonkers when you need about 3 hives per acre for many crops, 2 to 3. So
that makes, I did a video once called, I Don't Need Pollinators. And actually everything you're saying is in line with the video. So it was, a lot of people were really ticked off with it because they're like, how could you, bees are so important and blah, 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 blah. But the point was exactly what you're saying. Number one, like I've got so many things growing in my garden. There's always something flowering all the time. And then my garden is surrounded by basically weeds everywhere, 1,000 weeds around, like there's like an area between my garden and the forest, which isn't forest, but it's just weeds, 1,000 kinds of weeds. And you can go out there at certain times of the year and it's literally humming. There's so much stuff going on. And then it's surrounded by a forest, which every tree makes flowers of some kind at some point in time. And so there's bees, and there isn't just bees, like there's like flies, there's all kinds of things, and there's ants, there's just all kinds of things doing pollination. And that was the gist of the video, is that if your garden is somewhere where you've got these wild systems next to it, the diversity of the wild system and the different, like right now, what is it? There's certain things in bloom. I was just out for a walk with my daughter today, and the colt's foot, I don't know if you have those where you are in Quebec, but the colt's foot is an invasive weed. So at the height of the summer, it has these big green leaves that look like rhubarb, but they're not rhubarb. But the colt's foot's really weird. It grows foliage all summer long, and then it puts out its flower first thing in the spring.
Is it yellow flowering? Is that?
Yeah, it looks like a dandelion.
Okay. Yes, we do have. Yeah.
If you take them and scrunch them up, they have a very medicine-y smell, and there's things I think you can smoke it or something like that. There's things you can do with it, right? So the flower comes out first, and it looks just like a dandelion, but it isn't. And then after the flower goes to fluff and turns white and all that, then it puts out its foliage. So it's a backwards sort of plant. But the bees are at those right now. No, I mean, you don't want colt's foot in your garden because it's incredibly aggressive. But the point is that if your garden is near, like you said, just a ditch that you're not controlling, you're just letting it do what it do, sort of thing, you're going to have all kinds of stuff happening in there. And there's going to be all kinds of reasons for a wide range of pollinators to just be around. And when they see your pretty blue flower, your zucchini, or whatever, when they see the color of the thing that you need pollinated, they're going to go, "Ooh, what's that over there? I got to get me some of that." So it just it works itself out. So that was because when you read a lot of these articles online, they say, "Oh, you need this thing and plant this plant. It attracts pollinators." It's like what's one of the ones, lemon balm or something like that, or bee balm. That's what it is. Plant bee balm to attract. I don't need that. Like my garden's full of flowers and there's flowers everywhere. I don't even understand. It's possible that in a really urban setting, I suppose, where it's just sort of like stripped of life and so on and so forth, maybe you need something colorful to draw them in. But I don't even know about that, because I had a guy on my podcast once who makes these particular, what they call top something. It's a particular kind of beehive that are really easy to make.
Top bar hives.
Top bar, exactly. I knew you'd know what it's called. So he was talking about people using them in urban settings. They put them on the roof of their house, and there's all kinds of flowers because there's so many ornamental office buildings. They'll have like rows of roses and all this sort of stuff. So there's all these flowers and no place for bees to be. So he said, like in an urban setting, it's very easy to make honey in an urban setting because there's so many flowers, because everybody's trying to make everything pretty. So I never even thought about that. So
the other thing here in Quebec, we're finding the bees do better in the city than they do in the countryside as well. One, as you say, people have gardens, so there's a range. It's a whole different range. So their flowering sequence is really extends throughout the whole season. But the other thing is, we have pretty strict restrictions on how much you could spray in the city. Like you can't spray for dandelion and so on. And so because of that no or very low spray, the bees really do better in the farm areas. I mean, there is quite a bit of sprays going on, even if it's even treated seeds. And so that has really knocked bees in many areas. I mean, a lot of beekeepers keep their bees basically near woods all the time so that the bees can forage in the forests, but they're not relying on the fields as much. So in the city, they tend to do better now than in the countryside.
It's safer. It's a safe space.
Well, there's a lot of other things, cars and so on, but still, bees can do pretty well in that case.
That makes sense. Hey, folks, guess what? I've started a newsletter at maritimegardening.substack.com. I'll be putting out one article a week. That's 52 articles a year. The articles expand on ideas that I mention in my videos and podcasts. And every article has a read-aloud option, so you can just listen to me read it if you're busy doing something else. You can subscribe for $30 a year or try it for $5 a month and see what you think. It's a great way to help support everything I'm doing here. But hey, there's also free content too, so if you just want to read the free stuff, that's fine too. As always, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.